Alright guys, welcome back to Valorant News. Big questions emerging today around the future of the Sentinels roster, currently sitting 2-4 in the Americas League. They definitely have a chance to still qualify for the playoffs, but it's not looking so easy right now, especially with TenZ not seeming so keen maybe on returning to Sentinels starting roster in the near future. What does their future hold? Zombs reckons they might need a ShahZaM bringing back from G2 to fix their IGLing situation. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's dive straight into things. First of all, artists, happy birthday to Keith for yesterday. It's not really called Keith, but you know, gets the point across. I believe artists might have been the winner of the Banger Door a few weeks ago, and we'll discuss in a second who's going to win that this time around. Unfortunate update here for Crew as well with Dephh, who was, you know, of course came back into the roster and did quite well, has been suffering with pain in his right arm. I think some discussion around tendonitis or like there's a debate as to why this is. I know that I'm sure that many pros experience stuff like this over time. There's all these stretches you can do on your wrist and everything, but if you're playing a lot of games a lot of the time of day with these mice that aren't particularly well ergonomically designed, then you know things do occur. It's happened in all sorts of esports, so wishing the best for him going forwards. But our Crew of course brought in a substitute to their roster, and it almost worked out rather well to their favor, right? It's kind of wild how Loud series lately have been very predictable. Their record on the first map is like 2-4 this season. They almost always lose the first map lately, and I don't know whether part of this from Loud is they know they're the best team in the region, they know they're qualified for playoffs, so they're kind of, I don't know if they're deliberately sending it all the way to a map 3, but it feels like there's part of them that doesn't mind getting that extra practice, right? They don't seem to mind not 2-0ing teams. They're quite happy to lose the first map and then come back and win 2-1, and they've done it a lot lately against many teams. Sentinels against Evil Geniuses right now, against Crew, and it's funny how every time this happens, they will lose game 1, they'll win a tight game 2, and then they will just destroy the other team at the start of the game 3. In fairness, Crew made a good comeback, but it was immediately 7-0, and the series was quickly over. So 6-0 for Loud so far. Decent try for Crew. Obviously, they were struggling right now in the league, and have to play Loud as they did. Unfortunate circumstances, but still, Loud progress. They move on. They haven't been looking like you know, flawless lately. It's quite interesting to see because Loud have now officially clinched playoffs with that victory as well. But the start of this split, it was the South American teams that were demolishing all the North American teams, like Loud, Furia, Leviathan, like they were all unbelievably good. And now it kind of looks like a little bit of a different story. Yes, Loud are 6-0, but Leviathan have fallen off from being considered arguably top 5 team in the world to now kind of being 3-3, not looking so good, probably looking closer to the level of the teams around them rather than they're looking to the level of Loud, for example. So C9 5-1, Furia 4-2. You'd think those 3 teams would be okay, but then you look down below, right, and we've got MIBR, Sentinels, Evil Geniuses, all 2-4. Now, Sen, I believe, play EG and Crew, and Furia, I believe, as their final 3 games. So Sentinels definitely have a winnable couple of games. They need to beat EG, they need to beat Crew, absolutely. And if they can do that, they'll be 4-4, and then the Furia game, 4-5 might be enough. It depends how the tiebreakers go here, right? If there's a lot of 4-5 teams, it will come down to map counts potentially between the teams. There's various tiebreakers I'm sure they'll employ if that eventuality was to occur. But yeah, Sen need to improve and fast. They had a bad start and they were looking good for a little while, and then the match they played against Cloud9 was absolute demolition job for Cloud9, and that has once again put the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of what Sentinels might need to do going forwards to rectify this situation. Quickly on the Bagger Door, thought this funny, so Noy this week decides instead of nominating himself, will allow the community to nominate, and these are the nominees. So from poll 1, it was Stella, Muris, Dephh, and Sadak. Dephh, of course, wins that one, and the second one, Zekken, wins this one. So, I mean, yeah, understandable that Sentinels guys are going to be on here. I thought this is an interesting nomination as well, the head coach of 100 Thieves, just because, yeah, there has been some questions about him after Sean Gares left. Now, there's an argument that they weren't looking exactly incredible with Sean Gares, but they were very good, I thought, at the time, and since then they have fallen off a fair bit. So, questions around Mike's HD, whether they're going to be able to make that work in the future, so debate to be still had on that one. The jury is still out. Also, a quick note I thought was interesting from Sadak on Marved and the former OpTic team and now NRG team, saying that Marved leaving that team affected them a little bit more than Ye leaving, in my opinion, which is probably true when you think about it. At the end of the day, Marved was, you know, clearly still is a very valuable asset to any team that would have him. And I know that many pro players did say last season that, okay, yes, Ye's dropping all the numbers on OpTic, but it's really Marv that's one of the most important factors of that team, because, you know, Ye is not not replaceable too easily, but they brought Ardis in. He's doing a solid job, but I'm not having Marv. Sommer's been good as well, but, you know, Marv is obviously a very valuable asset. So that was an interesting insight there, because I know that you know, the players and the fans often disagree on these type of questions in terms of which player is actually more valuable to a team, looking at what's happening from a kind of strategic perspective, not necessarily just the pure numbers. So Sentinels, they're learning Chinese because they might well need to in the near future. And the question is, what are Sen going to do? If they lose their next game, let's say they lose to Evil Geniuses, they'll be 2-5, and they are then looking really rough indeed to qualify for the playoffs. And if they fail to do that, it's a serious problem for them. Now, of course, everyone says drop Dephh, Sassy on the IGL, and bring TenZ back in. Now, okay, maybe that's fair enough, but Sassy has, I think, made a couple of times now the statement that he doesn't want to IGL. He's not interested in doing that. He would prefer to just grind out what he currently does and have somebody else IGL. So Dephh was brought in from Exit, and alongside Zekken, of course, with Psycho as the head coach, because, yeah, he was going to be a good IGL for the team. I think Dephh is solid. I know that Marv gave him a lot of credit the other day, but fundamentally they got blown out by Cloud9, and you know, some fault of that has, of course, got to fall on Dephh himself as the IGL. So now, again, the questions are being raised here by Zombs. What about a different IGL? What about, instead of putting Sassy on the IGL and doing something like that, just bring back a new IGL? How about ShahZaM? Could they make the return? We know he was on Sentinels before, was a big part of Sentinels. There was all this drama that happened at the end of that saga where he found out that he was dropped via Twitter, and there was all the beef with Rob Moore, the CEO, and all this happened. So maybe ShahZaM doesn't want to return, and G2, I'm guessing, have got him locked down to such a contract that they will want him to stay around to try and support their efforts to qualify for Ascension and make it all the way through. Because if they were to sell ShahZaM now to Sentinels, for example, would they feel like they've got the best chance of qualifying for Ascension? Probably not, so they probably won't do it. But Zombs reckons that maybe this is something that needs to be considered, is instead of, you know, putting Sassy on the IGL or whatever, just straight up bring in a new IGL.
Yeah, so are you even why is he even walking towards Marv like that? Oh my
Jesus.
God. It's why are these guys even peeking Marv? Nice. Holy no, actually FF, like it's just cringe. Like don't even walk near Marv.
It was the key of energy, bro.
What?
What?
NRG?
Yeah. Yeah, but nah, they're back and they're good again now.
Or is everyone else just worse?
C9 wins these, bro.
Need a hero. We just lost the house.
Wow.
There are no gaps at all in the play from Cloud9 right now. It's exposing.
They actually need ShahZaM.
I just want to point out as well.
They're trolling, bro.
What's a random name?
In this game overall. I mean, he's just getting bullied right there.
Round in the half.
Can't take anything with us.
Yeah, we got you sleeping.
I'm not playing the match on Wednesday now.
So definitely tweet your thoughts on that one. The other clip there was from Steel confirming that indeed he will not be part of their roster going forward, or at least for the match they play on Wednesday. DSG Steel is no longer a thing. Wonder what the future is then for Steel in Valorant esports, because obviously he was on 100 Thieves early on, had some success, but over time it's been waning a little bit, his career in Valorant. Some would say, okay, maybe the guy's past it. We still don't really know why he got benched in first place. Okay, the team wasn't performing, they wanted to make a change, but no IGL. Okay, Exalt, I guess, is going to IGL. Bit of a weird one. Not sure it's actually going to work. So disguised to keeping Steel out for now. Maybe he can return. But it's an interesting debate to be had on that one for sure. The other question that I've got to raise here is on TenZ. Just because the other discussion has been, if you're not going to get a new IGL, or if, let's say, just stick with their team. I think they'll just stick with their roster. They'll try and make it work. And I think that's probably the correct thing to do for Sentinels. But if they're not going to change their IGLing situation, then TenZ might have to be a man that returns into the roster at some point. We know that obviously he's still with Sentinels, but on stream last night, and I couldn't exactly find a clip of this, but I know there was some discussion that he was deleting the Sentinels banner from his stream and basically said there was no need for it. So I don't really know why this is the case. I know I tuned into his stream briefly and found that it does seem like, okay, he still has TenZ in his name, Valorant player for Sentinels, but I think he's changed a couple of things on his stream. I understand why he's feeling kind of, sad right now with all the things going on for him personally, and I believe some of the Sentinels banners and stuff have been deleted from his profile here. So I don't exactly know what that means, whether he's feeling frustrated with what's going on with Sentinels. I'm sure he feels frustrated being effectively benched from the roster. He probably wants to play, but they feel like it was in his best interest and their best interest not to do that. So maybe there's some frustration there with TenZ and Sentinels, and he feels like maybe just becoming a content creator is the way to go for the near future, or somebody else is going to give him an offer. So bit of a strange one, but just want to keep your eyes on there, because if they are to try and make a change at some point in the near future, Sentinels, for TenZ, does TenZ actually want to do it? Like, what's the relationship there? Because it doesn't seem to be super good as it presently stands. So very much interested to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.